Sustainable Development Goals are a new global framework adopted by the United Nations in 2015, consisting of 17 goals which aim to redirect humanity towards a more sustainable path by 2030. Each goal within this 2030 agenda represents a current global development challenge in the social, environmental, or systematic sectors of the current world. As a collective, the goals represent a universal target to secure a sustainable, peaceful, prosperous, and equitable life for everyone now and in the future. For the Sustainable Development Goals to be successful, they require everyone to be informed in sustainable change and take necessary action towards current environmental crises. A key factor for this global understanding is education. Through education, society builds knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes that encourage contribution to the sustainable movement. Effective practices and actions which align with the concepts of the Sustainable Development Goals will shift societies and our own attitudes towards sustainability. A Sustainable Development Goal, which is a key component for a successful sustainable future, is Goal 14, Life Below Water. This goal is dedicated to conserving and sustainably using the oceans, seas, and marine resources. This goal is particularly important because it focuses on the largest ecosystem on Earth, which humankind depends on for life and global systems. The oceans. Our rainwater, drinking water, weather and climate, coastlines, much of our food, and even the oxygen in the air we breathe are all ultimately provided and regulated by the sea. It inhabits thousands of marine species and is crucial for the development of other ecosystems. Healthy and properly managed oceans allow for a wealth of benefits, such as economic growth through coastal transportation and marine tourism. They're responsible for 70% of our oxygen. They help regulate climate change by absorbing excess heat and CO2 emissions. They're an important source of food and health, and they provide habitats for a rich marine ecosystem. Unfortunately, these benefits may be short-lived. Due to significant increase in marine pollution caused by agricultural runoff, overfishing, and ocean acidification, oceans as we know them are diminishing. These factors are ultimately sacrificing marine life and ecosystems which we have become so dependable on. So what are the biggest issues?
In total, our oceans and waterways make up for 71% of our planet's total surface. That means that the majority of our planet's surface is being mistreated on the back of harmful human activity. Agricultural practices and sewage runoff see damaging chemicals pumped into our waterways that contribute to causing hypoxic areas and dead zones. This basically means that the affected areas are low on oxygen, meaning it's uninhabitable for most marine life and results in the collapse of the ecosystem. Globally, there are now 500 dead zones that cover 245,000 square kilometres. To put that into perspective, that's the equivalent to the surface of the entire United Kingdom. Another more reported on pollutant of our waterways is the catastrophic amounts of plastic in our oceans. Back in 1950, our world's population of 2.5 billion produced 1.5 million tonnes of plastic. By 2016, our global population had risen to more than 7 billion that saw over 320 million tonnes of plastic produced. Due to this mass production and disposal, plastic materials and other garbage can become concentrated in areas with the aid of ocean currents, in what are known as gyres. There are 5 major gyres in our oceans that continue to grow. Most notably is the North Pacific Gyre, also known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. This gyre alone occupies a relatively stationary area that's twice the size of Texas, the largest mainland US state. It's home to the waste material collected from across the North Pacific Ocean, which includes coastal waters of North America and Japan that are drawn together. In addition to the massive buildups of plastic, there is an estimated 5.25 trillion macro and microplastics floating in our oceans, weighing up to 269,000 tonnes. If we are to preserve our water-based ecosystems, immediate action must be taken, and it starts with you. People often underestimate the changes they can make at an individual level. There are several basic prevention techniques we can undertake in our day-to-day lives. For example, using correct rubbish receptacles, recycling what we can, using less and hence producing less waste, and obviously cutting down or eliminating single-use plastic. Another thing you should begin to do is you should get to know the products you're using. Certain cosmetics contain shark squalene, and some jewelry is made of coral or turtle shell, which can result in the commercial culling of certain marine creatures. Where these individual actions really take effect is communicating about them, beginning with your family and peers. The role of education extends beyond learning and holds you responsible for passing on this knowledge to those around you. Something as simple as encouraging a friend to pick up their rubbish or telling someone to stop using a certain product, backing that up with some evidence of a photo of maybe the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and opening up that discussion really does go a long way. Furthermore, to begin to initiate change at a political level, we have the resources and the means to educate ourselves on our electoral candidates and their policies regarding not only marine protection, but environmental protection as a whole. We are able to exercise this knowledge by voting for an appropriate candidate, but it doesn't need to end there. You can get in touch with your representatives and inform them of certain issues that you believe need addressing. The time for being shy and not being concerned with action is past. It's our role to communicate about the preservation of our oceans and waterways and act on measures at an individual, local, and ultimately political level.
Change can foster on an individual level as well as on a community and generational level. A community's culture and sustainable knowledge can be developed through integrating sustainable practices within education and community engagements. For Goal 14 to thrive, it is important society becomes engaged and determined to instill change for healthier and cleaner oceans. There are many community-based and global organisations fighting for the health of our oceans. These include Ocean Watch Australia, Clean Ocean Foundation, Sea Shepherd, Clean Up Australia, and many others. These organisations hold events, volunteerships, fundraising, and are dedicated to assisting society in protecting and conserving our oceans. Participating, volunteering, or aligning with these events is one way to take action and build a community which is centred around sustainability. In the modern era, social media has risen as a tool that enables such community-based programs to engage with their audiences on a regular basis. We now have the ability to interact with organisations online and share their information and posts with our extended circles. As we've already discussed, educating yourself is the first step in building towards a sustainable future. Using social media platforms, we can share relevant information and circulate sustainable notions. This gets you involved in the process of raising awareness about key issues and further establishing this understanding of sustainability in those around you. This development of the way we understand sustainability is one of the key philosophical approaches of the Sustainable Schools Network. They are a community-involved organisation dedicated to sharing information and awareness about sustainability. They further provide great opportunities for participating in the sustainable movement.
Education has become a key factor in introducing and encouraging the Sustainable Development Goals to hold importance in our lives. When teachers and educators are determined to develop their own understanding on sustainable behaviours, this ultimately is reflected in their practices and teachings. There are a variety of resources available to educators which align the key concepts of Goal 14. Educators may choose to adopt school-based initiatives focused on waste management or even beach cleanups. This will promote the key relationship between our own pollution and the impact this has on our marine ecosystems. Another way Goal 14 may be incorporated in education is through classroom practices. The use of sustainably focused games, discussions, or project-based learnings assists the younger generations to build their own knowledge and foster their drive to become part of the much-needed change. With a philosophy centered around sustainability and a focus on our oceans, lessons could be structured around climate change, marine wildlife, scientific marine discoveries, or conservation efforts. Promoting this knowledge and necessary action plans to the younger generations is a key factor in ensuring the Sustainable Development Goals are not just another framework, but a shift in structure.
Through these sustainable practices, society grows an understanding of Goal 14 and inherently adopts a sustainable attitude, which is not only beneficial to the health of our oceans, but also assists with the success of the other Sustainable Development Goals. If we can restore and conserve our marine ecosystems, concurrently an increase of clean drinking water, abundances of marine life, proactive approaches to climate change, and even things as simple as having a swim at a nice clean beach, like many of us are lucky enough to enjoy, becomes a sustainable reality.
With sustainable practices incorporated on an individual, community, and systematic level, humanity will be one step closer to a sustainable future. What happens next starts with you.